Hey, welcome back to Crime Time 911. Today's episode is about a young real estate agent who had a bright future ahead of her. Then she received a mysterious phone call from a suspicious couple requesting a showing of million-dollar homes. This case is a chilling one that remains unsolved to this day. We are diving into the case of Lindsay Buziak. Lindsay was born on November 2nd, 1983 to Jeff and Evelyn and has one sister named Sarah. Lindsay was said to be an ambitious real estate agent in Victoria, BC. At only 24 years old, she had made a promising start to her career. According to her friends and family, Lindsay was popular and caring. Lindsay had been dating Jason Zalo, whose family was described as prominent and wealthy that owned a successful real estate business. In January 2008, Lindsay had received a call from a lady who told her that she and her husband were in urgent need of a home and that they had a budget of $1 million because her husband had just been transferred to Victoria. The lady had a strong Spanish accent and would provide Lindsay with a name, which would later be determined that this name was fake. Lindsay felt uneasy about this phone call. She was still relatively new in her role as a real estate agent and would ask the lady how she got her personal number, in which the lady told her that one of Lindsay's previous clients had given it to her. Lindsay then called around to her other clients to see who had given her number to the mysterious couple, but none of the clients knew anything about these people. There would be 10 more calls between the wife and Lindsay before the showing. This would be strange in itself. Like, how did these people get her personal phone number if nobody actually gave her number out? And most cell phone numbers aren't listed anywhere. Like, you normally can't, go to Canada 411 or anything to find a cell phone number. So that in itself would definitely be raising some red flags for me. So Lindsay started looking for a suitable property. On February 1st, 2008, Lindsay emailed the couple some listings she thought would suit their wishes. It's reported Lindsay made plans to meet the woman and her husband at 1702 De Sousa Place on February 2nd, 2008. Some documents say that the couple flew to the island from Vancouver. Other reports say they traveled to the island by the ferry. According to one of Lindsay's friends, Lindsay had been stressed out about money, which could be why she decided to meet these clients despite her feeling conflicted about it. Apparently, Jason had offered to do the showing for Lindsay, as he had done before. He would also remind Lindsay in an attempt to reassure her that she had received a similar call from a woman a month earlier with a budget that was almost identical, and that she had ultimately made a sale in that case. On the day of the showing, Lindsay and Jason ate lunch, leaving the restaurant at approximately 4:30 p.m. It's believed that Lindsay went home to change her clothes and get ready for the viewing. Jason went to a nearby business to pick up a friend and was running late to get to the property that Lindsay was showing. CCTV from the business showed Jason leaving with his friend at 5:30 p.m. As Jason was leaving the business with his friend, he sent Lindsay a text message telling her that he was on his way and that he would be there in 10 to 15 minutes or so. Lindsay replied back saying, "Okay, see you in a bit, I gotta go." When the clients arrived, Lindsay would text Jason again to let him know that they were there. There was nothing to indicate that Lindsay was in trouble or distressed at any time. At 5:38 p.m., Jason texted Lindsay, just a couple of minutes away. This text was never opened. Witnesses reported seeing a tall, dark-haired white male who was approximately 6 foot 1 inches tall walking up to the cul-de-sac with a blonde lady who wore a very distinctly colorful dress. They were between the ages of 35 and 45 years old. The witnesses reported that they could tell by the way Lindsay greeted the mysterious couple that she did not know them personally. According to police, they pulled the lockbox records and saw that Lindsay had accessed the lockbox at 5:29 p.m. that evening. When Lindsay and the unidentified clients entered the house, it's believed that Lindsay had showed them the main floor before proceeding upstairs. Police state that Lindsay was attacked at approximately 9 to 11 minutes after entering the house at approximately 5:41 p.m. How do they know this? Because there had been a potential pocket dial from Lindsay's phone to a friend that she had not talked to in a long time. The friend reported that they could only hear muffling on the message that had been left. Jason and his friend arrived at the cul-de-sac at about 5:45 p.m. Jason would later tell police that he may have actually seen the suspects as he was pulling up. Police believe the suspects were actually about to walk out the front door when Jason pulled into the cul-de-sac, interrupting them leaving. Sergeant Horsley stated that if Jason had been 5 seconds later, he would have driven right into the suspects walking out into the driveway. Instead, when the couple saw the car approaching, they turned around and closed the door. Jason assumed that the showing had just started because he saw the door closing. He then parked his car and waited for the showing to end. About 20 minutes later, Jason texts Lindsay asking if she's okay, but he didn't get an answer. As Jason's concerns grew, he and his friend got out of the car and went to open the front door. This is when they found that it was locked. That's when Jason really becomes alarmed. Jason called 911 at 6:05 p.m. to tell him his concerns. Between the police arriving and the first call to 911, Jason and his friend noticed that the back French door was open. Jason's friend would enter the house through the back door and let him in through the front. The second the front door was unlocked, Jason told police that he pushed through the door and ran upstairs yelling Lindsay's name. That's when he found Lindsay on the floor of the master bedroom, and then he called 911 again at 6:11 p.m. She had been attacked with a sharp object you find in the kitchen and had multiple puncture wounds. She had no defensive wounds, which indicate that she was attacked from behind and had no idea what was happening to her. Nothing was stolen and Lindsay was not SA'd. Lindsay's father, Jeff, who had been living in Calgary at the time, stated that he had questions. He stated, quote, "There's certain things I don't buy there, for me personally. One, I would have gone and checked as soon as I saw somebody dart in and out of the front door. That concerns me. The other thing that's odd to me is supposedly Jason had never been to the house. Why would he push the front door open, run up the stairwell right into the master bedroom without stopping?" Jeff would also claim that Lindsay had told him that she felt that Jason had been overbearing and demanding, jealous and possessive. She told her father this just 6 weeks before her unaliving. So that definitely would be a concern for a parent. If your child just tells you that, then suddenly they're attacked and unalived very soon afterward, and the significant other just appears to know exactly where she is in the house. That is very, very, very strange. I don't blame her father for being suspicious about that. Jason and his colleague would be taken into custody. However, they were later released without being charged after their account of the events was verified by the CCTV footage from the mechanic shop earlier. Jason had also taken a polygraph test, which he reportedly passed. According to Sergeant Horsley, based on forensic evidence, the timeline of communications, witness reports, and video surveillance, they knew Jason was not the perpetrator. As for the question that he could still be involved, Sergeant Horsley pointed out that he successfully passed the polygraph and successfully took part in multiple interviews with police, so they did not consider him a suspect at that time. It was clear that this was not a random attack, and that this incident was pre-planned and pre-orchestrated. The cell phone that the lady had used to call Lindsay with was a burner phone purchased in Vancouver 3 months before the unaliving of Lindsay and had only been used to contact the real estate agent. The phone had been registered under a fake name. Police say that due to the fact that the phone was only used to contact Lindsay further shows that Lindsay had been the target. So that is kind of weird, and they've obviously put a lot of thought and planning into this, like 3 months before. That is very creepy. As with many cases that are unsolved, there are theories as to why Lindsay had been targeted. 6 weeks prior to her attack, while Lindsay had been in Calgary, she had reached out to an acquaintance from Victoria through phone and Facebook. Police did not know why she had reached out to this person. However, police do know that this person that Lindsay had been reaching out to was the family member of someone who had been caught in the biggest substance bust in the history of Alberta. Lots of people had lost a lot of money in that bust, and apparently a witch hunt had started. They knew that someone had to have reported the substance ring to the police, and that they were determined to find out who it was. It was reported that people were being pulled out of their beds in the middle of the night and asked who they had spoken to. At that time, police thought Lindsay may have been a target of opportunity where they, the criminals involved in the bust, needed to solve a problem, and she was their solution. Lindsay's father, Jeff, leads an annual walk in memory of her and to keep her case in the public eye. It takes place in February each year. Jeff also runs an investigative website, and in August of 2017, a comment was posted on the message board that stated, quote, "I unalived Lindsay, and the stupid cops will never prove it." That is a really eerie post, and I'm sure that if the cops had investigated that, maybe they did. I did not personally find anything that said that they did or did not investigate that, or even if that part is true, but I would feel that there would be a way that they'd be able to track the IP address of the person that posted that on that website, if that is true. In 2020, documents would be released that shared details of the case that had not been previously publicized. The details of these documents are as follows. In the days leading up to the showing, there had been an unusual pattern in Lindsay's online activity. Jason had voluntarily provided Saanich Police Lindsay's laptop for analysis. Police noticed there appeared to be missing chat messages. However, they were unable to determine when those chats had been deleted. Police also saw that Lindsay had people who were violent criminals and involved in the illegal distribution of substances on her Facebook friends list. Even though the names of these individuals have not been released, police initially believed that Lindsay's association with these people may have played a role in her demise. I find that very odd. Like, why would somebody that is on a successful career path in the real estate industry, to me, it seems weird that she would have violent criminals on her personal Facebook friends list. Like, maybe they could have been people that she was acquaintances with in high school. Maybe she knew them from high school. I don't know. I can't say for sure, obviously, but I know for myself, if I knew that I had violent criminals trying to be on my Facebook, they would be gone in a second. The day of the showing, Lindsay had apparently stopped by the realtor office that she worked at. As per the receptionist, Lindsay was at the office between 3 and 4 p.m. However, Lindsay was allegedly having lunch with Jason during this time. Whether or not the receptionist's time frame was correct, it was said that Lindsay was feeling really weird and freaked out about the showing. Lindsay gave the number of the mysterious couple to the receptionist and another co-worker to see if they could find a record with other agents in Victoria, but no results came back. Jason had reportedly gone to the auto shop SHC Auto Graphics, as the owners had apparently hired Jason to help sell a property, so Jason went there to present an offer. While Jason was at the auto shop, Lindsay had called him to advise that she was on her way to meet her clients. The documents state that Jason had offered to meet Lindsay there. Lindsay agreed to allow Jason to meet her. However, she still wanted to be the one to do the showing. Around the same time, Jason had reportedly received a call from his friend while he was at the auto shop. They were supposed to meet for dinner and decided to go to the property Lindsay was showing before they continued with their plans. Jason had tried to find the property's address using his vehicle's GPS. However, he wasn't having any success, so he called Lindsay for directions. Lindsay would tell Jason that her clients had arrived. Jason asked her to text him the address before they ended the call. Once he received the text, he responded letting Lindsay know he was on his way. This is the text that was reportedly never open. The documents report that as Jason pulled onto the street, he saw a male figure through one of the windows at the front of the house. It is thought that when the couple heard Jason's vehicle approaching, this was when they decided to abandon their plan to leave out the front door and instead fled out the back. Descriptions of the woman suspect vary. Some report that the woman was Hispanic, while others claim she was white with shorter blonde hair. There are also discrepancies about how Jason and his friend got into the house. Previously, it was said that Jason and his friend noticed the back door was open and that Jason's friend had found a gap in the fence, went through the house and unlocked the front door. But according to the newly released documents, Jason and his friend walked around to the back of the house to look for a basement entrance, but found nothing but darkness. They then returned to the front of the house. Jason would then call his mother to get a direct number to the listing agent of the property in order to try to gain access through the garage using the garage door code. There is no confirmation as to whether or not Jason got this information. So everything just seems to be like all over the place with this case. Now, I know that there are different things that people could be saying. Rumors are always going to fly. But I don't know, something just doesn't seem right with this whole, story, or maybe even the investigation. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. At 6:05 p.m., approximately 20 minutes after Jason and his friend arrived, he placed a call to 911. After the call to 911, Jason and his friend went to the side of the house and looked over the fence. This is when they saw the back door was open. Then panic started to set in. Jason had boosted his friend over the fence and ran back to the front door to wait for his friend to unlock it. Jason's friend started searching the front door while Jason ran upstairs to check the second. After taking Jason to the police station for an interview, the Saanich police started searching the house to see if anyone was still inside somewhere, as well as search the area with a canine unit. In 2021, the task force assigned to investigate Lindsay's case obtained assistance from the FBI as well as continued support from the RCMP. With the assistance of the FBI, there have been developments of new leads and forensic evidence. Investigators continue to follow up on all tips and leads, retesting evidence as well as digital evidence. If anyone has any information about this case, no matter how minor it may seem, I'll leave the contact information for their tip line in the description below. What do you guys think of this case? It definitely seems a little fishy. There seems to be, all the information is just sort of all over the place. And like I said, if you know something or know somebody that may know something, definitely please reach out to the tip line. I'll leave their number and even a website below so that it's easy for you to report whatever it is that you may have seen or heard or anything like that. Any little bit of information to help solve this case, it would be greatly appreciated, I'm sure, by the police. So, as always, don't forget to follow or subscribe so you don't miss out on the next episode. And thanks for listening to Crime Time 911. Stay safe, stay curious, and remember to always trust your gut.